Now, I seem to have a thing for cars from companies that are in financial trouble. They seem to make the best cars to me for some strange reason. I don't know why. But let's go down the list of cars that I own from companies that are having some issues right now. McLaren, Arcimoto, Rivian, and Tesla. None of them are doing extraordinary right now, but for some reason I still own them. Well, technically, I don't own Tesla anymore, but I do own its stock, which has lost about 40% of its value of the shares I bought last year, but it's okay. I'm sure the Cybertruck will fix everything. So I figured, why not add to the list of cars to my collection of companies that are in big trouble? And of course, Fisker came to mind, the car that a lot of people are talking about. Fisker is an interesting one because we could be watching the death of a car company in real time. Something like this we haven't seen since Pontiac or Mercury, or even before that, DeLorean. Fisker has built about 2,000 Karmas before they went out of business the first time, and now they're on to the Ocean SUV, which is all electric, which they built about 10,000 of and delivered about half of that, and they're facing bankruptcy again. But here's the deal. We've all seen review videos on the Fisker Ocean. We know the deal. It's not perfect, but something happened that makes you think about things a little bit more. The price has dropped even further. When most of these reviews were done, they were focusing at a higher price point between $45,000 and $70,000. Now, a higher spec model is $35,000 from Fisker, but if you shop around, you can get it for $30,000. Now, yes, I know there were rumors about a $25,000 Fisker being sold, but those don't exist yet. Now, you can get a higher end model for a very low price. Watching the dealer trends, the cheapest Fisker Ocean you could find used only a month ago was about $35,000. Now, the cheapest is about $30,000, and I'll give it 2 or 3 months before it's $25,000 and 6 months before it's $20,000 flat, maybe even less than that. Now, I think the only thing keeping Fisker in the news was, Marquez's video about how it's the worst car he's ever reviewed. When I hear a bold statement like that, I have to give it a shot. At the same time, will Fisker be around long enough? They don't have a lot left in the bank, and the talks from other manufacturers buying them fell through. What happens when you own a car from a company that's on the verge of bankruptcy, and is it worth it still buying it at $20,000? Let's see if Marquez was right, but let me get out of my life predicament first. What's up, boys and girls? Right now, I'm in the iconic Times Square, and I'm walking because we were driving with Linda Lucia, and unfortunately, Linda decided to drop her car keys down a sewer grate. So not only is New York home to the largest rats on the East Coast, but also the largest sewer grates, and right now I am forced to walk everywhere until we get those keys made. But thankfully, because of today's sponsor, Car Keys Express, we're able to get a set of keys made in 2 different ways. Now with Car Keys Express, they have Snap Key, and you can make a car key with your phone. If you can take a selfie, which I know you can, then you can get new keys made. Just take a photo of your key, your new key is cut, and it's shipped to you along with the Car Keys Express DIY installer to quickly and easily program the key to your car. Or Car Keys Express technicians cut keys in thousands of neighborhoods across the United States, including Manhattan, which is where we are right now, covering almost 90% of U.S. households. Just schedule an appointment to have a professional cut and pair the key for you, which is what they did, and we saved a bunch of money in the process. So you can either click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. You'll be saving 10% off. Car Keys Express makes it super easy for you to have your key replicated or replaced, and make sure you click the link in the description below to save yourself 10% off today. So finding a Fisker really isn't all that hard. There's 144 for sale at the moment, ranging from about $31,000 to about $45,000, with the majority of them being in Illinois and Georgia. However, if you're lucky, you can find one in your home state, which I happen to find one near me at a local high-end car dealer called the Highline Group in Lowell, Massachusetts. So I called them up, they had me come by, take it for a drive, and after checking out some of their inventory, I took my free hand sanitizer and I made my way out to the Fisker. Now I want you to keep something in mind. I am not a car reviewer. I just rub my hands on something and I tell you how it feels. Now, the first thing I noticed about the Fisker is that it is a very good-looking car in person. The videos don't really do it justice. It gives off Range Rover vibes. The wheels are nicely designed. The side profile looks great. And it looks like a very sporty, small SUV. They did a good job not giving it Karma vibes, because I think the Fisker Karma is not a very good-looking vehicle. The panel gaps are even. The door panels are straight. For the first year production car, on the exterior, it's great. I personally love the large solar panel on the roof, which Fisker claims can generate up to 1,500 free miles a year under ideal conditions, which comes out to about 4 miles a day. How much do I believe that? Maybe in Southern California if you park outside. Then again, if you live in Southern California, you probably have the money for a house with a garage. And considering the seats aren't ventilated, you're probably parking it inside the garage anyway. So if there was one negative thing I have noticed, that the moisture is starting to build up around the C-pillar window. So I'm not really sure how much of a problem that's going to be later on. Also, it has those extending door handles, which everyone and their mothers now has on a car. I don't like these very much, even though they aren't as sexy. I prefer the physical door handles. Living in the Northeast as long as I have, I realize what happens to these handles if there's extreme snow. Now, onto the inside, it didn't take very long for me to form a love-hate relationship with the seats. I think they look great and are very comfortable. However, the lighter color suede seats will start to turn brown in after maybe 2 weeks or so. And if you're going to use this thing for Uber, you might want to keep the seat covers on. And of course, before driving it, I want to make sure it's a safe vehicle. I'm just going to check the accelerator pedal to make sure it's not long enough to get stuck and lodged under the floor pocket at max acceleration. And look, it passed the test. Thank you, Fisker. Now, getting in, I have wide childbearing hips, and the first thing I notice is my knee hitting the HVAC controls, and I have a feeling over time I'm going to end up hitting this and cracking it for sure. And check out this cool party trick. We'll get more into that later. Now, it has the modern digital rearview mirror like most modern cars nowadays, and also a very, very strange two-stage sun visors with very small mirrors. Very interesting styling on the dashboard. The lights weight on the dash, I don't know about that. And instead of a glove box, it's a tray table from Spirit Airlines. And again, I want to push this thing again because it's cool. Now, the back seats fold down to reveal hidden storage. There's a lot of room back here, and the digital screen that controls the HVAC is a major thumbs up for me. Opening the rear hatch, what the hell is that? A sticker that says Fisker on the roof. That's got to go. Other than that, the rear hatch area, nothing really special to report besides a power outlet. Now, I just want to point something out. This car, as configured, is $68,000, and it has 240 miles on it, and they're selling it for $46,000, so $22,000 off. Let's check out the UI. Now we're going to see just how easy/difficult the UI is. I want to open the front trunk somehow, and this is just me going in with no knowledge whatsoever. I don't know what these things mean. I'm assuming that means the apps. That's right, apps. It has YouTube, Disney Plus, all that good stuff. That's charging. That's only 10% charge. That's battery saver mode. All I want to do is I want to figure out how to open the front trunk. And that, oh, wait, no. Brake is on. All right. So like a dramatic open. Okay, so now, see, I like this here. I do like the idea of having physical buttons still. I think that is something. Oh, they're also touch. So they're touch, and you could touch the buttons too. You could turn the fan speed on, or you could shut the fan speed on and off by pushing these buttons right here. But what I really want to do is I want to figure out how do I open the front trunk, if you even can open it. I'm assuming you can. Let's go ahead to the menu, doors and mirrors. There we go. Auto fold, lift gate. Oh, the 3D surround. That's kind of neat, actually. That's cool. Wrong color, but it's neat. I can see the TRX in the reflection there. I think that's kind of neat. Again, just looking for the front trunk. That's all I really want to do is open it up to see how big it is. It's not obvious. Now, this UI really isn't spectacular in any way, shape, or form. I do like the idea of having an instrument cluster here. This is something that Teslas don't have. Any average Tesla owner will tell you that it's okay to not have anything here and just have it on this large screen. I do also like the fact that this rotates. I do really like that. I hope it doesn't break after a while. It really doesn't seem that bad. It does take a couple seconds to actually switch. Boost, you have a maximum acceleration while in hyperdrive mode. You have 500 remaining. Confirm vehicles have the hyper, fully pressed pedal. Yeah, I don't want to use one of these if I don't have to, but I think it's pretty cool. I'm curious to see just how fast this thing is. All right, so this is the first time me getting into the Fisker Ocean, and I'll tell you one thing right now. I like the idea of having physical buttons on the HVAC display because the heat was blasting at full blast. And without even swiping to a different menu, I can just push, 2 buttons and the HVAC goes down. I like that. I understand with the Tesla that it's easy to do. You just swipe and push this button and you touch the thing on the screen. I like having physical buttons a lot more. Whether or not this whole gimmicky thing makes sense to go from vertical to horizontal, even Tesla got rid of their vertical screens. But I still think this is a cool idea. It's a nice boxy and chunky steering wheel. I do like the fact there's an instrument cluster here. A lot of people will say, we don't like the fact there's an instrument cluster. You should just have all of your information on one screen. I don't really follow that same mindset. This is a little table. Why you would need this little table, I don't really know, but this is a nice little thing to have a snack on. I think it's kind of cool, I guess, but most people would just, forego this and probably want a little bit more space in here. This does take up a significant amount of space, but this is very reminiscent of flying on a plane. But I think it's kind of a neat feature. I think everything is very reminiscent of how all electric cars function now. The turn stock, the stock right here, park, reverse, neutral, drive. If you want to start driving, you just, you see your e-brake buttons on, you push that button, and then you pretty much just start going. That flips back to vertical, which is kind of interesting. Let's see, does it find the key? Yep, detects the key, turn the volume down, HVAC starts blowing, you turn those down, push the e-brake button, and that's kind of it. The UI isn't ideal. I will say that Rivian did a much better job considering they're also a new manufacturer with the UI. I think this screen could have been a little bit nicer. It does look a little cheap. It almost looks like one of the aftermarket Tesla accessories that you would get on Alibaba or even on Amazon. It looks a little cheap. After driving this, I will say one thing. I do not like the fact that it rolls back. That is literally terrible. When I was switching gears, back in the parking lot, when I went from reverse to drive, even though I was in drive, I was on an incline, the car started backing up, and it made me second guess what gear I was in. So Fisker, if there's anyone that's watching this, make sure you have a better hold system. Make sure you energize the motors so it holds the car, so it doesn't start rolling back. The Rivian doesn't do that. The Teslas, they don't really do that anymore, so if you could adjust that, that'd be good. The UI, I think you could have done a better job. I'm sure everyone has been talking about that already, but other than that, I think for a first attempt, considering this is a ground up brand new SUV, I really can't really say much about this. I think that it's a great first attempt. The brake feel, it feels a little spongy. It doesn't feel as tight as other cars I've driven. Granted, I'm coming from the TRX, but I think this is, in terms of a first attempt, I think this is awesome. I will say one thing. I get why someone probably wouldn't want to get one of these. This is like, feel the bridge moving? Jeez. I get why someone wouldn't want to get one of these. I personally would not feel comfortable paying the kind of prices that they're asking for this now, but at a discount, I think once these start dipping into the $25,000 range, which they were kind of promised, but not really because you can't find them. Once they start dipping a little bit lower, you could actually see these on Manheim for low to mid 30s, 32, 33. I think at that price point, it's a steal. I'm personally waiting for one to get into the actual 20s, and I think we're good to go. The suspension is floaty. It does seem to, I don't want to say it's all over the road, but it's extremely soft. That might be good for some people. I'd like a little bit of a firmer suspension, a little bit more sporty. The Rivian is a lot more sporty than this. Like if I kind of jog the wheel back and forth, you could tell it kind of floats over the lanes. That pedestrian warning system, that noise that it makes is super annoying. I didn't think it would do it even at like 16 or 17 miles an hour. I don't like that sound at all. I'm pretty sure there's somewhere in the menu that I can shut it off. So I'm gonna accelerate. Yeah, it's funny. It doesn't feel like it's super performance oriented. Like that kind of throttle application that I just did in pretty much any other car, whether it's a Rivian or really anything else, or a Tesla, it does feel a lot stronger in other cars. You'd figure it says fun. I thought fun meant you could have some fun with it, but I guess it still kind of dampens it and prevents you from having all the fun in the world. But if I go to hyper, it feels good. It doesn't feel like it's mind-bending, like it's really gonna hurt you, but it feels, that's like a decent feel. I think this car would be a good one for like a daily driver, but it doesn't really inspire a lot of, I don't want to say confidence, but confidence that you could take out other cars on the road. If you see a Tesla Model Y next to you, it's not going to end well for you at all. But I think for what they've done, for a first attempt at a relatively new auto manufacturer, I think they did great. Regen isn't very strong. It more so just kind of casually slows you down. I'm pretty sure that's something you can change in the settings, which I don't really. Driving. Oh, the regen's high. Oh boy, yeah, that's the regen isn't very strong. You know, again, I have this to compare to the Model 3s and the Rivians. It's definitely not very strong. It feels like you're pulling a parachute in the Rivian for a lot of cases. I don't know if that's because it has more motors than this or what, but it just doesn't feel very strong. It has my official not bad stamp. Not everyone is really into being an early adopter of a vehicle that of a company that could go bankrupt. Hopefully, because this is a decent product, that it is rekindled to the point where another manufacturer buys Fisker. I think as of right now they're in talks of that happening, but yeah, it's tempting. It's definitely tempting. Overall, I don't think it's a bad car. It's definitely not perfect, but it doesn't have to be depending on the price point. I think a lot of people are willing to put up with a lot more if the price is lower. For example, if the car was $5, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But we'll talk more on that later. Now, the elephant in the room is that what if Fisker files for bankruptcy, which it kind of seems likely at this point. There will likely be a legal obligation to fulfill the warranty on existing cars. But the only issue is that as of right now, I believe there's only, I think, 7 or so centers to get your Fisker serviced in the United States. So even if they go out of business and there's still a warranty put into place, it still won't be the easiest thing in the world to get serviced because, you know, obviously the US is very big and 7 centers won't exactly cut it. So keep this in mind that the Fisker Karma hasn't been made in about 12 years, but you can still, they can still be diagnosed, they can still be serviced, and they can still be repaired today as well. And they still have a value too. So a lot of the comments were saying, you know, I would never buy a Fisker Ocean and I wouldn't take it even if it was free. Well, again, the Fisker Karma has been made in about 12 years. That company doesn't even exist anymore, and they still sell between $20,000 and $40,000. People are still buying them. The other issue is that while the car is getting serviced, it might be down for a while the company figures itself out, but that's okay, allegedly, because remember, 96% of EV owners own a backup gas car as well. So some people don't exactly have the same risk tolerance to have this as their only car. It definitely wouldn't be for them to own this car either. It kind of reminds me of Arcimoto owners right now, and Arcimoto is going through something very similar. They're going through a rough patch as the company is having issues supplying parts and for the broken three-wheelers. So the enthusiasts, they've kind of banded together. They started digging up into parts diagrams, wiring diagrams, sharing part numbers with people, and trying to kind of go directly to the manufacturers to get parts to keep them on the road. For me personally, I feel bad for those that paid $68,000 for this thing. For $25,000, I'd raise my eyebrows. If it was for sale at $20,000, I'm all in. And if they ever get to $15,000, I'd buy 2 of them. I think they're quirky, a little weird, but I think it's unique. And it's different for me because I have the bandwidth to keep it going. And when we do repair them, what we can do is we actually share that knowledge to other Fisker owners as well. So overall, I don't think it's terrible. Again, I think I'm all in at $20K. So we'll see what happens in a few months.